Okay, but let's talk more about CBDCs, right? Because
Mhm.
like I do understand the broad strokes, but I'm looking at crypto, I'm looking at stable coins, CBDCs, they're all these sort of like, I don't know, like almost niche concepts. And how do you differentiate between these things? Like, are CBDCs essentially government competition for crypto?
The bottom line is, as I mentioned before, the digitalization of the economy and the human interactions are really important to understand because essentially the existing systems have to be modernized, and the existing systems cannot continue to support the way that citizens around the world want to engage and want to use the money that they have access to. If you look across any use cases, take, for example, the internet, right? Technology adoption is always mostly very much driven by the private sector and innovation, and certainly in technology and kind of in technology centers. So what you see in things like crypto over the last few years, and it is influencing what governments need to do in order to be able to, compete, but more importantly, to offer the services that they're here to offer to us.
So I did an episode on deposit tokens a couple weeks ago, and it was very interesting, right? Because I'm like, is everybody doing the same thing? You've got like banks with their deposit tokens, right? You've got governments of CBDCs, right? We have cryptocurrency. What is that relationship, right? Are they competitors? Are they collaborators?
Yeah, I think we see mostly collaboration across the industry. If you think about, the banks and governments working together, for example, we're seeing a lot of central bank digital currency pilots, for example, that are working with the large banks and the bank. And an example is the Banque de France recently did a CBDC project led with the private sector in banking, and HSBC was participating. And more, there's hundreds of these kind of projects out there. So there's always good collaboration with technology vendors. And then if you look in the crypto or in the stablecoin world, there's also a lot of innovation that's happening there that I think is an opportunity for banks and governments to look into those technology enhancements and adopt some of them as part of what they do.
It's interesting though, right? Because certainly there's a lot of people in crypto who, quite frankly, they don't like banks very much. They don't like governments very much. They're very anti-authoritarian. Are they going to see, I don't know, like the prevalence of CBDCs as like a threat?
Yeah. Here at the Hyperledger Foundation, we're really focused on the technology side, right? How is the technology enabling these type of use cases in the marketplace? We really, the techniques or the technology that is using for blockchain as an application really can be used in the crypto side, but then also in the financial system sides that we see as well. So I think there's a lot of, once again, opportunities for both the crypto and government to work together to make use of the technology, to help serve our consumers or the citizens around the world. So I don't see it as competitive, but more of an opportunity to learn from one another and to take those best practices and actually build systems that are better than what we've had in the past.
Well, look, I can see why you're the executive director because you explain things so perfectly. You've got like a positive lens too, which I think is very valuable. Okay, so CBDCs it's really a way to sort of modernize the payment rails for governments, essentially. Is that it?
Yeah. And to be able to, for example, there's lots of use cases. There's some great organizations that are working to build these use cases around central bank digital currencies, whether it's the Digital Dollar Project in the United States or the Digital Pound in the UK, or even the European Digital Foundation. These are organizations that are coming up with use cases, both in the wholesale and in the retail market, to help us understand how central bank digital currencies can really enhance the way that the regular citizens operate around the world, from getting relief funds, for example, to individuals much needed, much faster. So there's a lot of great use cases, and the ecosystem working on this really is the technologists, folks like what the Hyperledger Foundation and our projects do, right? Building the technology to make sure that technology is there and available and open and developed in a way that people trust it. There is a lot of the foundations and groups working on a regulatory perspective to understand the use cases, and the good, the bad, and the ugly as well. And then there's
Speaking of the
obviously
good, the
the
bad,
banks.
the good, the bad, and the ugly, let's get into that after the break. You
Mhm.
have so much information. We got Daniela Barbosa,
Mhm.
Daniela Barbosa, Daniela Barbosa on the Daily Drop.